Bow, 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 bow. Was that In Sync?
I don't even know how to do it. Hopefully it
Or
was.
it was either In Sync or Backstreet Boys. That's our only options.
You let us know which one.
What's up, everybody? We are back. This is for middle and high school, 10:15 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Guys, we loved getting back together. Last week was our first time back in person. Rachel, we missed you.
Thank you.
But it was still a lot of fun. I heard you got FaceTimed in. That's kind of
cool.
Yeah,
it looked like a lot of fun from the back of the room.
Yeah, well, you got really, really sweet friends who would FaceTime you into that. So, guys, we love getting back together. It definitely was weird, definitely a little awkward, but there's something about being back together physically that no virtual kind of thing can compete with. So we're doing it again and for the foreseeable future. So join us in Auditorium 2 on Sundays from now on through the summer. From 6 to 8. Make sure you get there early, try to get there as close to 6 as you can so you can make sure seating goes well and all that stuff. But while we're doing live stuff, we're also going to be continuing to do these Sunday morning things. And the intent is that they are for middle and high school. So join us. The content's going to be pretty similar, so maybe don't do both unless you're an overachiever, right? But join us. Join us in your living room or wherever. And speaking of that, Rachel, I'm trying to figure out where in your house you are.
Where am I?
You know where I am because you've been to my home.
Yeah, you're in the laundry room. I'm just kidding. You're at your dining room table.
I thought you were serious. Wait.
So your laundry room is just a closet.
Is this your bedroom? It
is my bedroom.
Okay, sweet.
Ben Rector quote, some shelves with some pictures.
In my head, I was like, I've been to Rachel's house when they first were moving in. I moved in a chair, right?
Yep.
So I was trying to remember, layout-wise, I knew it was either a bedroom or the living room.
Yes. Well, actually, usually when I do these calls, it's our guest bedroom. So this is the first time in my actual bedroom.
Fun fact.
Yes, fun fact.
All right, so enough about our homes. Now you get a little inside look. Now, when you sit down to eat, you can picture yourself in my dining room, and that's where we'll leave that. So, Alpha has been happening the last couple weeks.
Yes.
And it's been amazing. It's been really cool. We've got one Alpha class for middle school, one Alpha class for high school. You can join us. This is the last call for you to join. This is the last week. We are going to allow new folks in. Thursdays, 12:30 to 1:30, right during lunchtime. Get in there with us, and let's talk about the fundamentals of our faith.
The fundamentals.
The fun. It puts the fun in fundamental.
Yes, it does. It does. Yep, I'm super excited for more people to join Alpha. So hopefully you can join in our last week of joining. Maybe third week.
Yep.
So we also have senior sessions all summer long, but they're every other Sunday. So we won't have it tonight, but we will have it next Sunday. So June 28th. No, it's 28th. Sorry, I had to check my calendar.
Sounds good to me.
Senior session, be there if you are a senior that just graduated high school. We also are joining in with Fellowship Greenville as a church to do the prayer collective online. So this is when people from the church get on Zoom and we all pray together. So Brentley and I have been helping to host the Thursday night one at 7 p.m. So it's for 30 minutes. It's actually really fast, and it's really cool to just pray with a lot of people from the church that I don't even know. So Really awesome. Hope that you guys can join in.
That's good. Now, Rachel, one of my favorite things on Zoom calls has been to take my bangs and put them like this. Yeah, you try it. This is fun. You've never done that before.
I actually have a lot of baby hairs that I can kind of use as bangs. See that? They're all kind of blonde right now, though.
This is actually a style that I used to rock, Rachel.
Yeah, that's concerning. I've never rocked this. So
there's probably pictures on my Facebook page. There's got to be one of you somewhere where it looks close to that.
Maybe.
Probably not. So that's one of my favorite things about Zoom calls. One of my favorite things about our videos, our YouTube stuff every single week during this quarantine has been dance moves with Dally.
Whoa, same.
What you're about to see is going to be a compilation of dance moves performed by some incredible dance instructor named Dally. So
Dallas.
get on your feet,
Green
try to do these moves with this crazy young soul, and don't hurt yourself. Make sure you stretch. I heard he gave you some great stretching suggestions last week.
It's true. I worked on those. I feel a lot better.
That's a big deal, Rachel. You need that in your life. All right, guys, we love you. We hope you enjoy it. The rest of the service, Matt Dinsky has a message for us coming up as well. We're going to worship, so sing loud and proud for all to hear. Spread that Christmas cheer. Love you. Enjoy it.
On your mark, get set, dance.
What's up, guys? So glad to sing and worship with you this morning. Today is a special day because today marks week 10 of our FGS 10 practices series. So today Matt is going to be teaching us on our last practice, thanking God daily. And I thought as a fun activity in our chat, if you would just, let's get active in there. And if there's been an attribute or a quality of God that you've been extra thankful for over the past few months, why don't you go ahead and type that out in the chat and maybe even why you've been thankful for that. So maybe it's something like you've been thankful for his faithfulness or his love over you during this season. I know for me it's that he's been unchanging. I don't handle change well, and if you've been keeping up with anything lately, you've known that it's changed a lot. So I've been super thankful for that. But I'd love to see you guys' responses in the chat, and after a few seconds of that, we'll sing together. Your love sought me when I was low. Wander on a broken road. Shame shackled my heart and doubt. I was lost in sin, but you brought me out. Your voice shattered the dead of night, and with just one breath that belongs me to rise. Found my soul in victory, safe from harm. Just I'm free in my Savior's arms. Oh, I'm free in my Savior's arms. And oh, how great your love is. how deep your kindness, how sweet your grace. And oh, how strong your mercy through every valley. You made a way. Oh, oh, oh. You came down to a fallen earth with a grace much greater than I deserve. Set free. Now I'm set free by the blood you spilled. From the cross you saw me and loved me still. From the cross you saw me and loved me still. And oh, how great your love is, how deep your kindness, how sweet your grace. And oh, how strong your mercy through every valley. You made a way. We believe our God is alive. We believe our God is alive and our hearts are free. We believe King Jesus is alive indeed. We believe our God is alive and our hearts are free. We believe King Jesus is alive indeed. King Jesus is alive indeed. And oh, how great your love is, how deep your kindness, how sweet your grace. Oh, and oh, how strong your mercy through every valley. You made a way. Jesus, we are forever grateful for the love that you have given us that we don't deserve. God, that you would come and live among us as a man and die in our place. Thank you for that sacrifice. And may our lives continually be guided by your Spirit and look more like you every day. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Hey everyone, what's up and good morning. Welcome back to another great week of Fellowship Greenville students. We are so glad that you're joining us this morning. If you've been joining us for any length of time before now, then you know that we have been in the midst of a series that we're calling the 10 Practices. 10 practices to adopt and apply to our lifestyle that mimic some of the key ways of Jesus that we believe won't just help our faith survive during this weird time that we're in, but will actually help it thrive and be stronger than ever. And this is the final week. This is the last week, the 10th practice. And this week I want to talk about gratitude, or a practice of giving thanks. And this one is one of my favorites, honestly. It's something I've been learning how to do more and more over the past few years, but this is also something that's near to my heart because it's something I do with my oldest son every night. He's 4 years old, and we have a bedtime ritual together, and it's the same routine every night. And at the end of the routine, I tuck him in his bed and we pray together. And then at the end of that prayer time, I just ask him, hey, buddy, what do you want to thank Jesus for today? And anything that comes to his mind, sometimes it's donuts, sometimes it's the fact that our baby sister was just born, sometimes it's his toys, sometimes it's a memory with me or something. And so it's whatever's on his little 4-year-old mind. But I'm trying to cultivate this practice and this regular habit of giving God thanks and reflecting upon the day. Why? Why is that important? And why have we designated it as one of our 10 practices to apply in this series? So I want to look at a story today. It's in the Gospel of Luke. It's a pretty interesting story. And it has to do with Jesus and 10 guys who were all sick with a disease called leprosy. And this disease made them untouchable, unapproachable. So leprosy is this very heartbreaking disease and very cruel disease in which parts of your body lose their feeling. You lose feeling in your nerves. And then when you get injured, you don't feel it. And so if you cut your finger or your foot or things like that, you scrape your shin, you stub your toe, you just don't feel it. But the hard part about that is if you get a wound and you didn't feel it and you didn't notice it, you don't know to treat it. And so then those wounds would get infected, and those infections would literally begin to make parts of the body just fall off. They would get so infected and they would rot and they would decay and they would just fall off. And so lepers in Jesus's day were not allowed to be around people. It was a highly contagious disease. You had to exclude yourself from community. You had to exclude yourself from the town and from others. You had to remove yourself. There were even specific rules, like you couldn't even stand if the wind was blowing a certain way. You couldn't stand in a way that would blow your leprosy downwind on others. And it was just so heartbreaking and so isolating and so lonely and so hopeless. And so here's these 10 guys. They're removed from everyone else. They all have leprosy, and Jesus comes through their village. This is in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 17. Verse 11 is where we're going to pick up. On the way to Jerusalem, he was passing between Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered a village, he was met by 10 lepers. And they stood at a distance. And remember, we just kind of talked about that. That was normal. That was a legal requirement. According to the law, you had to remove yourself. You couldn't be near people. Think about how lonely their life was. Think about their circumstances. Just how lonely and how rejected and how unwanted these guys feel. Such a sad life. So they were standing at a distance and they saw Jesus. They lifted up their voices saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." Which is interesting. They don't ask specifically for healing. What they ask for is Jesus' mercy. Somehow they see Jesus. They understand a context, who he is. They understand that he's got the ability to heal, and they ask him for God's mercy. They ask him for mercy. When Jesus saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." Now this would be in accordance with the Old Testament cleansing rituals. So Jesus is inviting them to go to the holy priests to show themselves to the priests in terms of being cleansed of this leprosy. And so it's kind of interesting. They ask Jesus for mercy, which is alluding to healing, which would include healing. But instead of healing right then and there, Jesus gives them a commandment. He says, "Hey, I want you to go somewhere. If you really want mercy, if you really want me to heal you, I want you to go. And I want you to go to the priests." And so he actually gets them to move, which, depending on how severe their case was actually pretty difficult. I mean, some of these guys may not have had feet or toes or parts of their legs or hands or whatever, depending on how severe their leprosy was. And so this was not necessarily an easy thing to do. It was also socially a difficult thing to do, because now they have to go from this place where they've settled and landed, which the rest of society says, yeah, you can stay there as long as you don't come near us. And now they actually have to move through the village and go somewhere. But they all obey. They all obey Jesus at this point. Jesus says, I want you to go to the priest. And so they go. And as they went, they were cleansed, or they were healed. They were emptied of their leprosy. And so they didn't even make it to the priest. It's almost like Jesus gave them that to see, do you have faith to believe in me enough to do something without receiving the healing yet? Would you at least go? And they all went, and as they're going, they're healed. The leprosy is removed from them. They're cleansed. Verse 15, and then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, when he noticed this cleansing, this removal of the leprosy take place, he turned around. He turned back, praising God with a loud voice. And he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, and he gave him thanks. So he's walking with the other guys, a group of 10, and one of them realizes what has just happened. We're healed, we're cleansed. Maybe their stride changed. Maybe they weren't able to walk very well, and then all of a sudden they're walking. Maybe they started to feel. Maybe the feeling came back in their nerves, their toes, their hands, or maybe the leprosy just went away on their bodies and they saw it, or whatever the reason. This guy notices, and immediately he turns around to return to Jesus and give thanks. He worships God. He praises God in a loud voice. He knows exactly where this healing has come from, and he gives thanks to Jesus. He's at Jesus' feet giving thanks. And now he was a Samaritan. And if you know the history of Jews and Samaritans, there was a high hatred for one another, a lot of racism, a lot of anger and prejudice. They had a history. Jews and Samaritans did not like each other. And Jesus heals this group of 10, and the only one of the 10 to return back to Jesus was a Samaritan, the most unlikely candidate. And then Jesus kind of answered. He says out loud this rhetorical thought. He said, weren't 10 cleansed? In other words, didn't I heal 10 of you? Where are the other 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner, this outsider, this Samaritan? And then he looks at the Samaritan and he says to him, rise and go your way. Your faith has made you well. And so initially, Jesus cleansed his body of leprosy. But this man's response showed Jesus that he had faith enough to cleanse his soul. And that's how Jesus ends this interaction. Your faith has made you well. Or in other words, your faith has saved you. It didn't just cleanse you, it saved you. But he says out loud, what happened to the other 9? Didn't I heal 10 of you? Now this is really interesting, because if we think about our lives, oftentimes this is kind of how we interact with Jesus, right? Like we have this need or this desire and this want, and we pray or we ask Jesus, would you give it to me? Would you help me? Would you give me mercy? Would you do this? And Jesus invites us into a next step, like he did for them. Hey, go to the priest. Maybe Jesus invites, I don't know, some kind of next step, some kind of invitation into his presence. And as we seek that deeper, maybe he actually answers our prayer, or maybe we receive just enough from him that we feel content, and then we forget all about the fact that we needed him in the first place. See, most of us have the faith enough to receive a blessing from Jesus, but maybe very few of us have the faith to return to Jesus. It's almost like once we receive the blessing, we're done with him. He's a vending machine at best. We punched in the numbers, we needed something, we got it, and now it's like, yeah, I don't need it anymore. But this one guy in this story, the Samaritan, didn't just have the faith to receive, he had the faith to return. He knows who the true healer is. He knows who God is, and he's returning to God. See, I think that practicing a rhythm, a ritual of gratitude is going to lead to 4 realities in our life. And the challenge this week is to create this ritual. We believe that giving thanks regularly helps to renew our minds and reminds us of who provides for us. And so the challenge this week is to create a ritual, a regular ritual, in which you thank God for one thing every day. Every day you give him thanks. So here's the 4 benefits that I see from this story, and I'm gonna do them kind of directionally. So we're gonna go back, up, down, forward. All right, if you can remember those directions, back, up, down, forward, then you're gonna remember these. So first of all, giving thanks on a regular basis reminds us. It reminds us of our previous circumstances. When we give thanks to God, we're reminded of where we came from. We're reminded of how bad it was in that moment, in those years, in those months. When we give thanks to God on this side of things, it forces us to reflect and look back. This guy is coming to Jesus, giving thanks to Jesus. He's reflecting, he's reminded, I used to be a leper, I used to be socially outcast, and now I'm not. Thank you, Jesus. It reminds us of our circumstances as we look back. So that's back. Now, here's up. As we look not back to where we came from, but up to God, it's an act of worship. Giving thanks is an act of worship. In fact, there's nothing that we have in this life that hasn't been given to us by God. You know, when we think about giving thanks to God or giving anything to God, giving tithe, giving money, giving time, giving energy, really we're not giving anything to God, we're returning to God because he has given us everything. Even the air in our lungs to give him thanks with was first given to us by him. And so when we give thanks, when we practice a rhythm of gratitude, we're actually worshiping, we're directing our thoughts upwards, and we're returning to God what he has given to us. Thank you, God, for giving me what you gave me. It reminds us who the giver of gifts is. He's not a vending machine. He's a person. Third is the down. So back reminds us of where we came from. Up is an act of worship towards God. Now down. This is the practice of being humble. When we give thanks, it actually humbles us. It lowers us a little bit in our heads, which honestly we need, because if we're not careful, we get prideful. When we stop giving thanks, we begin to actually become entitled. It's like when God gives us things, these amazing things, we actually walk around like, yeah, that makes sense. I deserve that. My life's been hard. He should be giving me things. In fact, he should be giving me more things. God, you're not giving me enough. We actually become entitled when we stop giving thanks. But when we give thanks to God, when we express gratitude to God, it humbles us. It lowers us. It places God above us, which is the appropriate order of things. And it helps us combat entitlement. We don't walk around expecting. We don't walk around thinking that we're owed something. We're humbled. So back, up, down, and now forward. The last thing is it heals us. It heals our perspective. It creates within us a sense of contentment. We become satisfied in life with what we have. We stop craving the next thing. We stop coveting. We stop being jealous. We stop envy. We stop comparing. It helps create contentment and joy. It heals our perspective as we move forward in life. So think about the leper. He was healed, and he comes back to Jesus giving thanks. He's remembering why he was healed. He used to be a leper. As he's coming back, he's giving thanks to God. He's worshiping God. So he's remembering, he's worshiping, he's at the feet of Jesus, so he's humbled, and now going forward, he's been healed, not just externally, but internally. Back, up, down, and forward. The leper is modeling to us what thanksgiving and gratitude can accomplish in our life. So the challenge for us, guys, is every day give thanks to God for one thing as we move forward. Hope you have a blessed week. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Matt, for that awesome message on practicing gratitude and giving thanks to God. Guys, this is our last practice. We've done all 10, and we hope that you've enjoyed our 10 practices series and have stuck with us all throughout this series. And if you've missed any, we really encourage you guys to go back and watch the videos here on YouTube, or you can go and listen to the sermons on our FGS podcast. So our focus this week is on giving thanks to God, and our challenge to you is to thank God for one thing specifically each day. So this isn't a super hard challenge. Maybe it's thanking Him for having a safe home, or for your family, or for your best friend, or for yummy food to eat, or great weather outside, or maybe that your body's healthy. Whatever it is, there's so many things to be grateful for each day, and thank God for blessing us with these things. Maybe at night after you finished your day, like Matt was talking about with his son, maybe you can just take some time and write down a few things that you're grateful for, or just give thanks to God that way. Or maybe during the day when something comes to mind when you're just really grateful for that thing. Let's practice giving thanks to God. So if you meet with your small group this week or talk to your friends about this message, here are some questions for you guys to go through. So the first one is to share with your group how you were able to practice restraint this past week. So that's number 9, the one that we talked about last week. The second question is, do you usually include giving thanks to God when you pray, or do you mainly focus on things that you need from God? So maybe it's really including gratitude into your prayer practice that we talked about earlier in the 10 practices, instead of just asking God for things that you need, maybe just giving thanks to Him too. The third question is, what are 5 things that you're grateful for right now? So we would love for you to just make a list, maybe talk to your friends or your small group about 5 things that you're grateful for. And then the fourth one is, Matt mentioned 4 things that giving thanks does for us. So we talked about back, up, down, and forward. So back is reminding us what God has done for us. Up is giving worship to Him. Down, it humbles us so we aren't becoming entitled to having things. And then forward, it brings contentment and joy in our lives going forward. So which one of these do you need to lean into most? So those are our small group questions for this week. And we hope you enjoyed the practice of gratitude.
I hope that all of us will take that challenge to heart and practice thankfulness in our everyday life this week. Hey, what you're about to see now is a few students that we are super proud of. They've completed 8th grade or high school. Can you believe that? You guys are done with middle school, you're done with high school, and you're never going back. And these students have something to say, something to pass along to anyone who's coming through middle school, who's coming through high school, who hasn't yet finished the race. Here's some words of wisdom for a couple who have.
Hello, Fellowship Greenville. I am 7-4, an 8th grader going into 9th grade this year. I had chosen to talk about the topic of, like my favorite Bible verse. The Bible verse kind of got me through middle school. My favorite verse, or one that's got me through middle school, was Philippians 4:13. I think it was like a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago, last year, I don't know. My parents got me a bracelet that had Philippians 4:13 on it, which is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And whenever something was just like a bit difficult or just something hard to do or something that I needed to get through, I would always just kind of look down at my bracelet and like touch it, or just like pray for guidance or help or something. I would always just kind of look down at that bracelet, and it would kind of help me with whatever I would be doing, if it was just hard or difficult or something that was challenging for me. So that was kind of something that got me through middle school, my favorite Bible verse. So, 6th graders, hope you all have a great middle school. Peace.
You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights the line, found me the 99. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me.
Is that one of your favorite songs?
Yes.
What's up, guys? I'm KJ. I've been going to FG my whole life, and I've been at FGS since 6th grade, and it truly has been a life-changing experience. The friends, the community, the family, the staff there is amazing, and I've learned to belong, believe, and become a child of God. Some things I definitely want to encourage you to do is go on the Epic Retreat for sure. Get plugged in a small group with guys or girls your age that walk through life with you and are going through the same things you're going through. Also, Matt does events or hiking days where you can get to know God and others better as well. Also, serve, pour back into the ministry. I have been on the worship team since middle school, and it's been great. Obviously, if you aren't musically talented, maybe that's not your thing, but there's a lot of things you can do. A big takeaway from FGS is God takes you out of places in your life, not for you to go right back. So pursue Him always, love Him always, because He loves you, and He's going to seek you out and pursue you also. Like, He wants you, He loves you, He's going to bring you back. Psalms 34:3 says, "Oh, magnify the Lord, and let us exalt His name together." So, with your lives, magnify Him, lift Him up. Whatever you do, magnify the Lord and exalt His name forever. Yeah.
All right, everyone, thanks so much for joining us this week. We hope you have a fantastic week going forward.
We do, and we hope that you join us on Alpha this week on Thursday at 12:30 to 1:30. And right now, go join us watching Fellowship Greenville service, 11 a.m. Go watch it. Have a great week.
Yeah, see you next time. Bye.